Okay, so I want to take the opportunity to welcome to the Faculty of Science here at Monash University. So like any good lecture, you should try to come away with a couple of things and know in advance what you want to come away with from the lecture. And on this one, I think there's a couple of things you should be thinking about during your day here. One of which is, why should I be studying science? And why should I study science at Monash? So I'll try to give you my view about what that is. You'll have a load of opportunity to go around and see our demonstration and get much more detail than I can tell you in 10 minutes. And Dr. Chris Thompson will give you a lot more detail about the way in which you can study science here. So, the first slide is to just show you a little bit about our community. And one of the things that is very exciting about what's going on here in the science faculty is how much investment has been made here in the last 10 years. So if you wander around the science precinct now, if your parents had walked around the science precinct a generation ago, it would have looked completely different. There's been a huge investment here to make this place a fantastic place, both to do research and to learn. So it's really, I encourage you to look at the buildings, look at the labs where you'll be having an opportunity to do your labs if you're a student here, and feel what kind of opportunities you'll have if you come here. One of the great things about studying at a research-intensive university, which this is that your labs are situated just next to the labs of people who are doing world-leading research. And those are the people who are going to be doing your teaching. So again, when you think about where you want to do science, doing it in a place that is full of really fantastic equipment, great researchers, gives you an opportunity while you're learning to be using the best equipment in the world, being taught by the most knowledgeable people, and having a real chance to frame your education in a way that gets you prepared to go out into the world and do great things with your science education. Now, in a few minutes, I'm going to tell you a little bit about why, what science education can do for you. And every year that we put this sign up, where is a science degree going to take you? And we argue about which pictures to put here because there are so many different avenues you can go to for science. So this is just an illustration of, you may have an idea of what a scientist does. Our scientists go all over the world doing things related to nature, ecology, biology, astrophysics, mathematics, geology, chemistry. We are actually taking part in research which is going on not just here on the campus, but all over the world and with partners all over the world. And part of their education is often opportunities to travel around, take part in some of these activities, and be a part of the science, which is now, science itself is now truly global. To making new advances, new reaches in science is something that really takes an effort for scientists across the world. And that's why the opportunities at a place like this to see what's going on at the forefront of science research, be part of the teams, see some of the activities that are going on is really exceptional. So you're always asking what kind of career opportunities, and I hope your parents are sitting there next to you thinking about what kind of career opportunities there are as a science. So last year, before giving this talk, I thought, I'll have a look at what students will find if they Google scientist in Google Images. And this was the first page that came up. And you'll notice everyone is wearing a white lab coat. I'm pretty sure that one of them is not an actual scientist, but an actor. However, you're going to see that actually this is not what scientists look like. This is what people working in some labs look like, but you have way more possibilities as a scientist. I've been working as an experimental particle physicist for 30 years. Very few of my students are actually doing experimental particle physics. They're off doing really interesting things using the knowledge they got being trained as a scientist to work in a wide variety of industries, from setting policy in government, to working in banks, to doing games development, to doing all sorts of technology activities. Some are working in they're working in a huge range of industries, and that takes advantage of what you learn when you're trained to be a scientist. Now, when you come and you study biology, you may not be a biologist. If you study physics, you may not be a physicist, but you're going to have the skills to learn how to solve problems. And that's really important. You're going to learn how to solve problems that there isn't an answer for already. And this is a key thing. Scientific training gives you the way to, the ability to think like a scientist, to look at a problem and think, how will I go about solving this? What do I need to know? What kind of things do I have to measure in order to understand what's going on? And that's something that employers really value a lot. And you can look at what kind of jobs there are for scientists out there. And this is the Science Council has tried to come up with a list of the 10 types of jobs that scientists do. And you could see there is a wide range of things, from communicator to entrepreneur to explorer to investigator, policy regulator, business, service provider, teacher, developer. Scientists go into such a wide range of activities because employers are really keen to have the skills that you develop as a scientist. And I'm often asked by politicians, what's the most important impact that your research has and your university has on society? And you can look at big discoveries that science makes, and that's often very big impact. But in fact, as a university, the biggest impact we have on society is when you graduate and go out into society and bring the skills which you've got here to bear on problems that society has. And the society of today is more dependent and it's more important than ever to have valuable scientific insight to deal with the problems that are coming to society today. So many things require us to really evaluate things critically and not just emotionally in terms of making the best decisions about what we should do as a society. And I think that's an opportunity, again, for those of you who are interested in working with your science and across a wide range of things to take advantage of. And one of the things that Dr. Thompson will tell you about is how flexible we are and how much studying a degree here allows you to mix your passion with science with other things. So I say this a little bit about here in this slide. One is, why are you going to come here and study? And I think that's what my colleagues are going to spend the day telling you. You're going to see demonstrations, the labs that we have, the types of things we teach you, and that shows up here when we talk about the state-of-the-art facilities, the great trips and experience we have, the size of our cohorts in the science degrees, and the bit about appealing to head and heart, that's a bit about the fact that you can tailor your degree to mix your passions in things outside of science, law or arts, and still come away with a degree that allows you to apply your scientific learning and understanding into other types of disciplines. So I'm going to show a brief video to let you hear from some of our scientists, and then Dr. Thompson will come and tell you a little bit about more detail about what kind of options are available for you to study here at Monash. I want you to take advantage of this day to get a good feeling for what kind of things you could study, the environment in which you'll be studying, and I hope you'll come away enthused about not just studying science, but studying science here with us at Monash. So with that, I'm going to start the videos, and then you'll hear from Chris. If I could do the technology. There we go.
My science teacher had a friend come and talk to us, and they talked about this genetics, and I just thought, wow, I'm going to be a scientist. I never knew a scientist. I didn't know anybody who was a scientist. I just thought, this is awesome.
Once I realized you can do this, you can look at animals, real animals in the wild, and you can go places, there is no stopping me.
Mostly one feels like a small boy being released into, a lolly shop or something similar, because it has that feeling. You're just so pleased to be back.
We're looking at the airway surface to see changes in a liquid layer that's on the airway surface in response to a treatment for cystic fibrosis.
I liked making things. I liked actually stuffing things up too. So it was sort of about, why did that fail right from way back then, and why did somebody get a better yield than me? It's a very competitive chemistry.
My group runs really huge experiments where everyone has to come together and help each other.
These ones still need to be screened to check that they're actually the species that we're after.
I still do appreciate the past. I don't want to live in it, but I appreciate, that everything that we know has been built up over time.
That's got to be one, hey? That one that's
moment. That's pretty big.
Astrophysics is a huge field. You're basically trying to explain almost everything in the universe.
We need scientists to be the Prime Minister. We need scientists to be CEOs of major corporations. We need them to be running government departments. We need them to be management consultants. We need them in positions of influence. I think that this new generation coming through is quite special, and we need to make sure we nurture them properly. They're going to change the world.
All right, so you get a bit of a snapshot of the things that we do here and I think the exciting life that our scientists lead. You saw lots of people travelling around the world and doing all of those sorts of things. So that's not just spin, that's really what our scientists do. But it's more than that. A lot of our students are getting these international, well, not just international, but around Australia, opportunities to get out there on the field. Field trips out to Broken Hill, Heppel Island. We've got a bunch of students that go to Borneo every year and do a field trip over in the jungle. So there's really amazing opportunities. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of what it means to study science here at Monash Uni. So what does it look like in each of these different degree programs? Because there is a lot of choice in the mix there. And Jordan said I would talk about the flexibility. So that's really what I want to show you, is how flexible the different degrees are. I mean, I'm thinking back to when I was 18 years old and I was at open day looking at, it was actually just kind of overwhelming, looking at all the different degrees and trying to work out what was the combination that was going to work for me. As it happened, I did a science arts double degree. You know, that was the way I decided to mix all of my different passions. And what I want to show you is that it doesn't matter what your mixture is, you can make that work for you. That was a double degree, but I'll start with the flagship degree. So about half of our students will just sign on for the good old-fashioned Bachelor of Science. Although I would like to say at Monash it's not old-fashioned anymore. It's actually very different to the Bachelor of Science that was running when I went through 20 years ago. So this is a 3-year degree. It's the Bachelor of Science, so you're nominally doing a major, what we call a major in science. But it's really important to point out that the major is only about a third of that degree. 2/3 of the degree will be other science subjects, plus any other subject pretty much that you might be interested in across the university. So you can mix and match with subjects. You might want to study a language, you might want to do marketing, a little bit of engineering or something alongside your science degree. There's lots of space in your degree to do that, and I'll come back to that idea. But it might be that, like me, you choose to do a double degree where you mix that science degree together with a degree from another faculty. And that doesn't take double the time, it's actually shorter than that, and I'll come back to that idea as well. But what you can see here is the science can be mixed together with just about anything. Down the right-hand side there, arts, biomedical sciences, commerce, computer science, education, IT, music. So there's real breadth in what you can couple your science together with. We've even got a couple of selective degrees. So the entry to get into these courses is a little bit higher, but they're very particular sorts of students we're looking for. The first, the Bachelor of Science Advanced Research with Honours, not a 3-year degree, it's a 4-year degree. So from the very beginning, you sign up to a 4-year experience. And it's really targeted at students that have already identified pretty early in their thinking that they're really passionate about science. So you would do the normal 3-year degree, if you like, with a few bonus activities along the way, but in that 4th year you do a full-blown research experience. The other one there is the Bachelor of Science Advanced Global Challenges. So this is a degree that we launched about 5 years ago. So we've got students just coming out the other end of this degree now, and this degree is really targeted at students who think they're going to be that next generation that are going to solve the world's problems. And it's really fascinating watching these students come out the other end because they've had really rich experiences, not just learning about science, but expertise in leadership, entrepreneurship. They've been working as consultants with industry, with government organisations, right through their degree. So a very different sort of science degree. And watching these guys actually go into the workforce has been fascinating because most of them are not working immediately in science, but they're on the edge of science, helping science translate to the rest of the world. Of course, there's the honours degree. So this is for students that start off in the 3-year degree, or perhaps they've done a double degree and then they decide that they want that extra research experience. And we've got a number of master's programs. You know, a few years ago, we didn't have much in the way of master's programs at all. Starting next year, we're going to have 4 different courses. Master of Environment and Sustainability, Master of Financial Mathematics, Master in Science or Mathematical Sciences. So there's a lot of choice in that postgraduate space. So most people coming this week are still in Year 12, perhaps. They're not quite ready for a master's course, but it's important for you to know sort of what the journey could possibly be. You might even be like myself and hang around for a very long time and do a PhD and never leave. Talked a lot about this sort of freedom and this flexibility, so I want to give you a bit of a feeling for what I mean by that. So when you do a science degree, you do something called a major. Now, as I mentioned before, it's only 1/3 of the degree, but there has to be one subject that you sort of tie your whole degree together with. But it could be anything from this list. And I'll put it to you, you've probably heard of some of these things before, but there might even be some majors up there which you've heard of, you're not quite sure what they mean. Some of them are just VCE subjects, right? I mean, you can do chemistry or physics or mathematics as a VCE subject, but you certainly can't do microbiology, pharmacology, or zoology. So this is where you're starting to really specialise in particular areas of science. So there's 26 different majors that you can choose from. But the most important point that I want to make about this slide here is that you don't have to choose your major in the first year. So the first year of the degree, you just come and just explore. So you might not know what you want to do yet. So you come and you might think you're interested in something in that maybe biology sort of space, but it could be pharmacology, it could be biochemistry. Or you would come and you would do some first year biology, maybe thinking about environmental science. You might throw some chemistry in and do a little bit of maths. And that would set you up for doing a major in that direction. It might be, though, that you actually fell in love with chemistry in that first year and you realise you don't want to major in one of the biological majors. You'd rather do something closer to chemistry. So you haven't locked that major in until the second year of the degree. It might be more of that maths, physics-y kind of student. So in your first year, you would do some decent maths, you would do some physics, and you might do, I don't know, geosciences as an extra subject on the side. You might fall in love with geosciences in your first year, and then you decide you're not going to major in physics at all, you're going to major in geosciences. So you've got time, you've got space to work all of this stuff out in the first year of your degree. You don't have to be rushing into any decisions. And I'll tell you, my personal experience was that in my first year, I did maths and physics. I actually really liked chemistry as well because I was doing a double degree. I couldn't squeeze them all in. I didn't do chemistry until the second year of my degree, and I went on to become a chemist. Okay, so you've got time. This is just a bit of a block diagram of what the degree looks like, a very simple block diagram. And as you can see, only 2/3 of the 3-year science degree, so 2 out of the 3 years, if you like, is necessarily from the science faculty. Now, we actually have no objection to you doing lots and lots of science and only science for 3 years. You're more than welcome to do that. So you've got this elective space over here on the right-hand side. You can use all of your electives just to study more science. That's cool. But it might be that at VCE you were studying a language and you would love to keep studying, I don't know, maybe you were studying Chinese language during your VCE. You were doing maths, physics, chemistry and Chinese. And maybe you want to keep doing the Chinese, or maybe it was German, I don't know. You could do that on the elective side. Or it might be something that you've always thought about that you've never had the opportunity to explore. You might just, for whatever reason, be interested in accounting. Or you might want to have that card up your sleeve. I'm not sure why you would be interested in accounting, but I'm a chemist. I'm allowed to say that. Okay? So you can use this elective space to really give a bit of colour to your degree. And explore things that you might not have thought you had the opportunities to. So the degree's got your foundation studies, so that's the first year of the degree, where you're exploring those foundational science subjects. You will do a major as a part of your degree, but you've got free choice. You could even fit a complete second major over there on the elective side, okay? Or you could do a second science major. Now, this is this flexibility that Jordan was talking about. Professor Nash, sorry. We tend to go by first names around here. It's not often people call me Dr. Thompson. You could mix it like I did when I was 18 years old, because I couldn't make up my mind what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I was interested in science and I was good at science, but I was really interested in doing something else as well. I did art science. You might mix it with any of those other things there. And a lot of you might be thinking, yeah, okay, 3 years, double that, 6 years. I'm not staying at uni for 6 years. That's not how it works. We actually play a little bit of a trick. It's a legitimate trick. It's not dodgy, but it's not 3 plus 3. It's not a 6-year experience. And the way that we rationalise that is, well, look, 1/3 of your 3-year degree could be from the elective space. Well, if you were doing a commerce degree, that's true as well. 1/3 of a commerce degree could be from the elective space. So what if we just say that the commerce fits into the science side and the science fits into the commerce side? So we can strip those 2 years out and you've basically got 2 years and 2 years put together. It's a 4-year experience. In other words, just 1 extra year. You come out with 2 bachelor degrees. You can see why the double degree is attractive to a lot of students. And you can mix it with just about anything. Just a little bit about our specialist degrees. I mentioned the advanced research, the 4-year experience. You can see here the elective space is a bit smaller. This is really targeted at students that just love science. They really just want to do lots and lots of science. In fact, they don't want to just do 3 years, they want to do 4 years. So they hang around and they do that honours experience as well. But down the right-hand side, you can see what's going on here. There's the opportunity to do accelerated learning. Every student in this degree will do 2 science majors. It might be that you love chemistry and physics and you can't make up your mind. Doesn't matter. If you're in this course, you major in both. You've got research training from the 2nd year onwards. In fact, it's over the summer in between the 1st and 2nd year of the degree. You're mentored both by other academics and by peers who are higher up in the course. You've got entry into programs like our Science Future Leadership program. You get your own study space. So the students in this course, they've got their own room where they will hang out. They've got their own toaster and coffee machine and all that sort of stuff. Direct entry into a PhD. And clearly in ATAR, well, I'm not supposed to use words clearly in anymore for some technical reason. The ATAR to get into this course is 95. Of course, that's after any subject bonuses, for example, might be applied. And if you don't know what a subject bonus is, talk to one of our staff. The other specialist degree I mentioned is the Global Challenges, really exciting degree. Slightly different course map. Again, you can see that there's some light blue this time and some green. Maybe I'd talk to the green. This runs down the side of the degree. This is where you're really focusing on other things. Leadership, entrepreneurship, actually doing your own mini startup company. This is a really exciting degree, very, very different sort of science degree. You still do a science major, as per the dark blue on the side there. But it's got a real focus on those other skills that we know employers are crying out for. Yeah, the world outside of science who are looking for STEM graduates are looking for graduates which have skills in leadership, persuasive communication, who are actually thinking about building their own company. Okay, ATAR to get into this course here, 90, it's got an interview process as well to get into that course. Really exciting degree. And there's an internship in there as well. So it says there, it sort of implies there it happens in the 3rd year of the course. It's even a bit more flexible than that. A lot of students do it over the summer or they do it over the winter. They're travelling around the world. We've just had a bunch of students over in Shanghai doing some really exciting things. So it's really just a summary slide. Guys, when I did a science degree, it was very different. Okay, I came to uni, I went to a bunch of lectures, I learned a bunch of facts and figures, there was a big fat exam at the end of each semester, and I did that repeat. There's still a bit of that. Science content is still really important. You come and do a degree, you specialise in science. But there's so much more going on at uni now. So many of our students are actually out there doing places, working with employers. We have got all of that employability stuff built into the degree now. It used to be, oh, that's extracurricular. Go and work out how to do that stuff yourself. Write a good CV. Build on your oral communication skills. We just teach you science. Okay, those days are over. We've built all of that stuff into the degree now so that the graduates that come out the other end are not just good scientists, but they know how to translate the science. Okay, so science degrees, I think, is very, very different. And there are all of these different sorts of opportunities. So anyway, that's time. We've got a couple of minutes for questions if people had any. We'll take a couple of questions, I think. Yes. Okay, so if you're doing things like first year chemistry, physics, biology, there could be 1,000 students in those classes. But then as you move through the degree, they get much smaller as you specialise in different degrees. The specialist degrees tend to be more 30 or 40 students in each cohort. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Yep.
You described three general streams. How easy is it to go between the streams if you find one more attractive than the other along the way?
In terms of the majors? You sign up for a course at the beginning, so you can transfer between courses, but only, you might do that in the first year, you certainly wouldn't do it later down the track. Yep, yep. Any other questions? For the Dean while you've got him? Hard man to catch? Okay, oh, sorry, one more, yeah. Oh, there's two more, yeah. Information books? Yep. Yeah, so we call it, is it Monash abroad? Study abroad. For exchange opportunities.
Study abroad.
Study abroad, yeah. So I would go just straight to the website would be the quickest way. So Monash Study Abroad, yeah, find out about that. And there was another question.
Yeah, so even though you tried different things out in your first year and you chose a major and then you I don't like this major, it's easy to transfer majors as well.
Absolutely. In fact, we have a lot of students that don't even really lock in the major till the third year of their degree. As long as they've been doing the right subjects along the way. Yep, so it might be that you did the first year chemistry and the first year biology, and then you did the second year chemistry and the second year biology, and you thought you were going to do biology. As long as you've done the prereqs to take you on the chemistry, but you could jump across, or it might be maths or physics. So that, yeah, you don't have to lock it in too early. Yeah. All right, if there's no more questions, we'll let you guys go out and have a good time. Make sure you take the opportunity to talk to our staff and our students.
Okay, we'll make a start. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Monash University. I hope you're enjoying the open day we are offering for you today, and that you get as much information as you came to look for. I'm Kristina Warszawski. I'm the Deputy Dean of the Faculty of Science here at Monash University, and I will be making this presentation together with Lucy Donaldson, who is from Career Connect. And together we will talk about the opportunities science students get here at Monash for career development. And I'll start by asking a question. What do I do with a science degree? Where does a science degree lead you? That's a question we hear again and again on open day. I can imagine that many of you will have this picture of a scientist working in a lab coat, behind a microscope, or working in chemistry, mixing up chemicals. Because that's the conception our students have when they come to university to do a science degree. But the good news is that there are so many other opportunities for science graduates. Science graduates develop a very, very unique set of skills that are very much valued by employers across all sectors, across all industries, across all organizations. And you will find science graduates everywhere, really, contributing to society, contributing to economy. So the British Science Council came up with a very useful classification of what you do with a science degree. They call it the 10 types of scientists. And I encourage you very much, if you haven't seen this information yet on the website, Google 10 types of scientists, and you will see that you will find the website of the British Council providing information about each of these categories, giving you examples of people who are working in these particular areas and what their daily life looks like. So, for example, in this corner here, we have what we usually call researchers. They are the investigators, the explorers. They are the ones who are pushing the barriers of scientific knowledge, developing new knowledge. They're usually found in universities or research and development departments of large organizations. But then we have the technicians. They are specialists. They provide specialist science services across different industries. For example, food, could be forensic science, could be health science, and so on. Then we have what we call a developer scientist. So they are the ones who take the knowledge that was created by others and translate it into something that's useful in general to society. And these are the people who normally support businesses or support the entrepreneurs to get ideas to market. And there are quite a few science graduates working in that space. We have those who work for the regulatory bodies, those who work on developing standards and monitoring standards to make sure that our products, our systems, our technology are safe and reliable. Then we have those who contribute or support the business and financial sector with modeling and with evidence-based solutions to their problems. And these are the ones you usually find in banks, in large research and development departments, and in marketing. There are also those who work at all levels of government and different organizations on policy development. They use their science knowledge to inform the development of policies. And those who communicate the science, so they use their science knowledge to communicate to wider audiences. So they are the ones who have to convince, or they have to spread news related to science. So they work in media outlets. They may be working in marketing department, in promotion departments, in public affairs. And finally, we have the teachers. We all know we need teachers. We need lots of good science teachers. They are the ones who enthuse, nurture, teach the next generation of scientists, actually the next generation of citizens. So as you can see, science graduates end up working just about anywhere and contribute to the economy in many different ways. Furthermore, a very recent study which uses census data shows that in Australia, more than 50% of science graduates don't work in companies or organizations that are STEM specific, so they really work across the sectors. So there are many advantages to a science degree. Science students, as they learn the ins and outs of the discipline they learn, they develop very important skills that are translatable to any context. So they are very analytical. They think through issues in a systematic and critical way and look for underlying logic to everything. They are very objective. They avoid to make decisions with emotions, but they really take an evidence-based approach to the solutions they propose. They are evaluative. Any information they use is information, they go to the source to make sure that it's valid and the data that was used to present those findings is correct. And they question everything. So they are a little bit critical of everything because they need to be convinced that what the argument that's being used is right. So these are skills that are really transferable to any context. And these are skills that are important because if you look at what employers say in general, is that they don't care about what you know or what a graduate knows. They care about what you can do with the knowledge you have. That's ever more important in this rapidly changing world of work environment that's being disrupted in many ways by different technologies. So it's important for you so that the university don't prepare students or graduates for a particular job, but that they prepare graduates with a set of skills that will allow them to face the uncertainties and adapt to any situation. So that's a general of why science. What we are going to talk, Lucy and I, is what are the different opportunities science students have here at Monash to support their career development. I will talk about the opportunities that are offered specifically to science students, and Lucy will talk about other programs that are offered across Monash to all Monash students. So if we start with the specific science programs, we have programs that are inbuilt in curriculum, and we've got programs that are sit outside the curriculum. And all science students have access to this. I'll start with in curriculum 1. Students can actually, within their curriculum, they can choose an elective which is called the science internship. What they do, as the word already says, is they immerse in a real workplace. For a semester, a workplace becomes a classroom for them. And they immerse themselves there to work on a project, to attend meetings, to see how decisions are made, to participate in the ins and outs of what happened in a daily life in that workplace. And through doing that, they develop business awareness. They get to see what the work culture is, what the dynamic in the workplace is. They enhance their skills. Obviously, they get to apply their skills, but through that process, they enhance them and learn some new skills that they haven't learned at university. Most importantly, they explore career opportunities for them. They're not necessarily placed in something they've been dreaming about. Some are, some not. Some want to taste something different to see whether that's something they would enjoy doing. And while they're in the workplace, they get to, that's part of the formal assessment, they get to interview professionals to see how they develop their career with their science degree and to see what kind of advice they get from them as they are preparing themselves for the world of work. And finally, and very importantly, they build networks that gives them a real head start into knowing who's out there they can reach out when they look for jobs. So here I put a list of companies and organizations we used just in the last 6 months to place students, and I couldn't fit all of them. But I put in there for the purpose that you can see that it covers the whole spectrum I talked about at the beginning of this talk, from government organizations, research labs, universities, schools, regulatory bodies, and so on, and communicators. And I'm personally teaching this unit. I'm not teaching because their classroom is the workplace, but I have to assess them because this is a unit they do for credit. And I just finished reading through the reports of students who did their internship in winter, which is a semester just finished. And I feel so really empowered and inspired by what I read from what students write. So they all had an experience of real growth in having the opportunity to taste what work is like. And most importantly, something that comes through again and again and again is that it's an eye-opener for them because they realize how many other things you can do in science, not just work in a lab. That's a message I get from the students again and again when they do their final presentation. And the other message I get through again and again is how much more confident they feel now that they've done the internship. They realize they have a skill set, but they still didn't know how to translate that into a real environment. And this experience really helped them to do that. So that's one unit that every student has access to, and they can do full credit within their science program, whether it's single degree or double degree, doesn't matter. Then we have another unit which is more specific for those who may want to taste whether teaching is something they would do, or those who want to go into science communication. Basically what they do, students work in group to develop a piece of science and deliver it in a school. But they don't just develop any cool piece of science. They have to go first and talk to the teacher to see what would fit this particular classroom at this point in time. And they have to negotiate. And after they negotiated with the teacher what they need to be done, they develop this piece of science and deliver. So again, it's an experience for them. It's their classroom, again, happens to be in the real world. And they enhance their transferable skills. And the particular skills that students keep saying that they develop is that it's project management, it's organizational skills. They realize that this is now real. It's not an assessment where they can lose just a few marks, but they can lose face if they don't do a good job. And they learn how to think on their feet because things not always go the way they are planned. And more importantly, they learn very on-site communication skills with different stakeholders, with the teachers, with the students, who are so different to the students they meet at university. And as I said before, it's an opportunity for those who may explore teaching as a career to see whether that's something that really works for them. And the third unit is a unit we introduced this year. It's what we call a career education unit. They don't go out to the workplace. They stay here at Monash. But students think about, it's just for science students, and students think about, they self-assess their skills to see what is it that they've got to offer out to an employer. They build commercial awareness. They write job applications. And very importantly, they get a head start on how you build networks. How do you start making connections? They do their LinkedIn profile and things like that. But it's just a head start for them. It's not the same as a work placement, but it's a way towards having an experience in developing their careers. So these are three opportunities all science students have, and they can put within their curriculum as an elective. Outside the curriculum, we've got one big event every year, which is called the Science Industry Week. And that big event is, we have every day of the week focused on a different discipline. And we get on campus employers, former alumni, and people who are working with their science degree to have a question and answer session. And then we have a little fair where employers come on campus and students can interact with them and network. Very highly sought for by the students. And outside that, we provide experiences such as leadership development. This is not really specific to employability skills or employability development or career development, but we do have two specific science leadership programs. One is called Science Future Leaders, and the other one is called Science Ambassadors, which equip students with skills over and above of what they learn through their normal studies within the curriculum. I think at this point I do have to pass on to Lucy, because otherwise she won't have time to say everything she wants to tell you about everything else.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me. So I'm here from Career Connect, and that's a central service that we have here at Monash for all our students, and we offer a variety of services, programs, activities, and the occasional event as well. So this is just a little bit of a taster of all the different things that we offer. In particular, it's really about developing 3 things for our students here at Monash. It's about them understanding what their capability is within their degree, as well as within their own personal knowledge, attributes and skills that they've developed throughout all their experiences in life. Then we, of course, want to enhance their clarity. So based on what they know about themselves and where they think they might want to head, how can we help them clarify that goal and get them there by the end of their completion of their degree. And then, of course, as they're heading towards that, we then want to boost their confidence. So we want them to be essentially submitting that application or sitting in that interview chair with as much confidence as they can, so that they can hopefully get their dream job. And the end result, of course, is we want all of the employers to look at that person and say, they went to Monash. So we are really trying to have that holistic approach, working with faculties, working with industries, working with employers to make sure that we're increasing that clarity, capability and confidence for our students. So you can see there that we do a lot of practical skills. So we run a lot of small group workshops with students, between 10 and up to 20 students, where we actually help them apply all of the skills and the knowledge that they're learning in their faculties, in their degrees. We actually help them apply that practically. So how to actually write a resume, how to respond to key selection criteria, how do I actually figure out what my employability skills are if I'm a science student, and how do I draw upon the placements that I've had in my science degree or the leadership program that I did in the science faculty. How do I talk about that in an interview? What example should I use that really best describes me as a professional? We also do a lot of targeted content too, so particular things like, I'm doing a science degree but I have no idea how to start a job search or what the barriers are that students often face when they're entering. So we have a lot of connections with industry experts who have worked in particular fields or industries for between 15 and over 20 years usually, and we'll get them in, and again they have small conversations, so small groups, 6, 7 students, and students can actually ask questions of someone that knows that industry inside and out, and they can ask them about tips and tricks for how they can best succeed when they're starting out in their career. And then we do lots of other things there, as you can see. Something else that we found is really helpful for students and something that employers love is the Leap into Leadership online modules. Now these are offered through a learning management system that we have at Monash called Moodle, and it's essentially, there's 12 different modules and you can dip in and out of them. They're totally free, they're accessible the whole time that you're a student at Monash. And employers love them because you get a certificate at the end, so you can actually demonstrate that you've done enhanced personal growth and personal development with a particular training goal at the end. So we particularly recommend connecting across cultures to students, personal brand, because it gives them the language about how to talk about themselves as a professional, how to highlight their skills and how to actually negotiate and talk to employers when they're juniors entering the market. And they also really like high-performing teams, because more and more what we're finding is people don't work in silos. Of course, you're going to have to learn how to talk to other people, get along with other people, get the job done when perhaps there's a bit of tension going on or whatnot, different personalities. So employers really respond very positively to those modules. So we get a lot of completions for students. Another thing that we offer here at Monash is thousands of volunteering opportunities, whether they're in-house here at Monash, so you'll see lots of student ambassadors are volunteering here today, walking you around or letting you enter the lecture theatre or handing out sausages or whatever they're doing. So that in turn is building their employability skills, and we have opportunities outside as well where we've connected with industry. So part of that is we actually work with them afterwards to then reflect on their experience of being an open day ambassador and any problem solving skills that they developed, or their planning and organisational skills, or their professionalism skills, and we coach them through how to actually use that as an example in a key selection criteria response or an interview, etc. We have some central leadership programs as well. So these are some of our programs that we offer. And again, they are building employability and capability skills for students. And what's really nice about these programs is they allow students to connect and work with people from all around the world, all different backgrounds, all different faculties, and they make connections across the university. So the content of the leadership programs is excellent and very, very good. However, the number one things that students always say back is the friends they made and the connections they make, and the fact they have that in common over time means that when they then graduate and become an alumni, if they were a science student or a law student, they know someone in medicine or they know someone in business. And so that helps them in terms of their networking and their professional contacts for afterwards. This is a platform that we have that we built over several years. We worked with people from all over the world, Monash alumni and not, and it's received multiple awards. The reason being it does two things. It teaches Monash students how to understand their employability skills, and then it coaches them through how to actually articulate them. Because it's all well and good saying, yeah, I'm a really good communicator, and then you say, great, do you have an example of that? And they go, which we've all seen before. So what we're really trying to do here is make it so that students can get in a lift with someone that tells them about the dream job for the student that they're actually hiring for, and the Monash student can just say, yep, I know about that, and they can essentially do an elevator pitch in about 30 seconds. So we're trying to, again, build their capability so that they understand what their employability skills are, and they know how to talk about it and themselves to an employer. They know what language to use, they know how to articulate themselves and all of the skills that they've developed. So these are the employability skills. So a couple of them I've mentioned, and all of these are built in faculty in a science degree, and then we provide these central services to help students give us an actual example of intercultural competence. Tell me an example about when you had to get the job done in a difficult team. We actually coach them through how to answer that. These are some of our digital resources. Obviously, this day and age, everything's available online. We're being live streamed now, I think, aren't we? There you go. So we have so much available online, and then, of course, we support that with face-to-face appointments or the face-to-face workshops. So we really do encourage students to find as much as they can online, and then, of course, supplement that or come and see us face-to-face. We get a huge amount of positive feedback from our students. The reason being is that it's practical. We really rely on the expertise of our staff here at Monash to have that deep knowledge of their subject area, but also that breadth of ability and expertise across industry. So we employ a lot of people that have had deep industry engagement and working a lot in recruitment, HR, have hired and sometimes unfortunately fired many people over time. So we're always really trying to provide that employer point of view to students, particularly around professionalism. So we often find with employers that the number one thing that kind of sits in the back of their head with a young person entering the market after being a graduate is that they're not quite sure how they'll adapt from transitioning from student to professional. And we find this from employers over and over again, and I know that myself from hiring and managing teams for a long time. So what we always try and do is then focus that with our students. So we provide these work integrated learning opportunities, these placement opportunities. We focus on it in faculty, but we also teach students how to talk about it. So how to talk the language, how to play the game a little bit of to get a job and to get the job that you want. The questions to ask employers, how to coach yourself through that process, as well as how to seek coaching if you need it. We're here on campus. We're on every campus. We have a presence at our 4 Australian campuses. And then, of course, we have many services online. So that's all I have to say about Career Connect services. Thank you for your time. And I hope you have a great day here at Monash. Welcome, and we hope to see you as students.